Here are the chickens and Mr. Rooster. And what better to go with chickens and roosters than a 1955 Grumman Kurbside all aluminum bread truck. This was originally a Sunbeam bread truck owned by a local bakery. So I've mounted this body on a 1991 Dodge Dakota chassis. It took about 6 months. We did it the old-fashioned way, where you don't have a lot in parts. It's really just all labor. I kept as much of the Dakota as I possibly could, including, for example, the whole HVAC system. All the wiring is stock. The way the wiring harness laid out, I was able to just hook everything up using the existing wiring harnesses that were in the truck. I've gotten a couple other things from the junkyard. Everything that was missing on this truck I had to fabricate. There was no rear bumper, so I got the top of this bumper out of the junkyard and then welded some diamond plate on it. That rear door we made from scratch, that was missing on the truck. And then these are a pair of garage windows that we put in there so you can see out the back. These are neat LED lights. They've got backup lights in them. In the front I had to use incandescent lights because when you mix LEDs with incandescent lighting systems, you don't get very good results, which I learned. There is new window glass in the side doors here. In addition to that, we put new rollers on these doors. They needed to roll better. So what this is about a 2000 Dodge Ram 1500 seat. It's got built-in seat belts. So once you mount the seat, you have a nice seat belt, which you want when you're driving around a truck. This is the original speedometer. Oh, someone's calling. Let's see who it is. We're going to call them back. So that's the original speedometer. This truck has 120,000 miles on it. The cruise control actually works. I made sure I hooked all that up. That's the vent for your heat, but all our functions work. We've got a defrost vent there. That's another defrost vent. That should probably be aimed towards that window. That's our air intake. This is our stock radio, and then I added a speaker there. And this diamond plate sort of configuration here is also hiding a bunch of wires that were coming off that used to be behind the dash. Then there's the other speaker under there. We've got a Dakota cup holder here, which is really neat. And so I've got electric windshield wipers. So this had vacuum wipers, this truck initially, and these windshield wipers are great. I got them off Amazon. I think they're about 25 bucks each. So there's a switch right here to turn them on and off. But I can actually still control them using my wiper switch because I hooked them up to the power from the wiper switch. This is the back of the truck. You can see the door. There's the original door. And of course, here's my door. I just made a frame out of angle iron. This is the original driver's seat that was in the truck. And the new owner wanted it saved, so that's just holding that in there. I welded that plate on the bottom. And this is neat because you can sit in here or you can fold that down. It makes a little table. So, and you can unbolt that and turn it and rebolt it down and have your feet here if you want to. There's a few more wires I gotta tie up. This is the view from inside here. So a couple other things that are neat are got lots of storage. You've got this little area up in here. That's part of the original truck. Those are wires for the lights in the roof. I don't have the roof lights hooked up yet. Those would have all been 6-volt So you've got that space in there. There's some napkins in there. And then, so this truck is titled as a 1991 Dodge Dakota. And it's a street rod because it's been modified from its original state. So there's the data plate. But I also took the VIN plate off and stuck that over there. So make sure everything's all nice and legal. We've got all new brakes and tires. So a couple other things of interest were the wheelbase was a little bit longer on the Dakota, so those back wheels sit back a little farther than the wheel wells. You could put some skirts in front of them and create the center look of that. These are slightly larger tires than the original stock Dakota tires, and they're also C-range truck tires to give me a much heavier payload. I also spaced out the wheels 2 inches on each side, so this is 4 inches wider than the stock Dakota wheel width. And I was able to go on eBay and buy 6-lug aluminum wheel spacers. Underneath here, you can see that here's some channel. We took some channel and welded it to the frame, and then created a sort of a flat surface above the original Dakota frame. The truck sits on this, and there's in between the angle and the original truck, there's now a ½ inch of rubber. Initially, this truck was sitting on the frame on top of some oak. So we've got a slightly cushier mounting system, and the body is bolted down in multiple places. That's a block, solid aluminum block in between the body and that rail there, and there's a couple ½ inch bolts going through that so that nothing crunches down. There's 6 bolts total holding that on. And then in the front, I just welded these little triangles to the body mount, and then welded that up to the front of this. So that's essentially what's going on. A couple other neat things. We got some side marker lights, which didn't have before. For the headlights, I had to mess around with for a while to get them right. These stock bulbs in the truck would not obviously work, so I got some round headlights, and I had one. This was good. The other side was completely busted off, so we took that good one here to University of Maryland, and they scanned it and 3D printed this side over here. Some of these had aluminum, but for the ones that had plastic, a lot of times they're missing. This is an access. You have, here's your 318 5.2 liter. This is the windshield washer fluid. I put squirters on there so you can wash your windshield. You can also access your engine oil dipstick there. And see if we can stick this in there. There's your radiator. So it makes everything very accessible. And really, I replaced the oil pressure sending unit, and that was easier to do than the stock truck because you can just take this cover off here and you've got the complete top of the motors exposed. So anyway, we'll climb out of here. That shuts nicely. I replaced the windows in these side doors. I may have mentioned that. Motor's fuel injected. Starts right up. We've got really good heat coming out of there. That just shuts like that. I actually got the windows going up and down. That was an interesting task to take these all apart. There's a little chain in there. So we have power brakes. This is a little just footrest because it makes it a much more comfortable position. There's the stock radio. So I put my seatbelt on and drive off into the sunset. This project took about 6 months. We're here visiting some neighbors. into drive, and then we've got power steering. So we've got a much nicer truck being on this chassis than we would have had with the stock chassis and engine. Anyway, kind of difficult to drive holding this thing, so off I go. Thanks for watching.